Welcome to Marking Out in the Morning, coming to you live from Audacity Solutions Studios in Des Moines, Iowa. It is 9:06 a.m. Central Standard Time. If it is also that time for you, then you know you can listen to us live every Monday through Friday on Blog Talk Radio and Periscope, and catch it not live a few other places. I'm your host, the Audacity. This is the first and only live daily morning call-in pro wrestling news and rumors podcast. So if anyone else tries to claim they are one, I'm unaware of it. We're the first and only. Again, if you're listening live, thanks for joining us on Periscope. Thanks for listening on Blog Talk Radio. You can, if you are listening to this later and don't know how to find out about any of that stuff, hop on Twitter, follow us at HEELZiggler.com. Every morning you'll get the links for the live podcast, the live Periscope, and everything. And if you want to contact us while you're listening live, if you want to chime in about whatever we're talking about, send a tweet at HEELZiggler.com, or you can call us 657-383-1786, or again, hop on Periscope, shout out there. I try to watch my Periscope, but I'm not always great about it. So yeah, and if you don't listen live and you want to listen later, Blog Talk Radio, subscribe to us there, subscribe on Stitcher, subscribe on iTunes, subscribe on YouTube, or just whatever. You can watch these Periscope videos for like 24 hours, I think, after they're recorded. So you have a million chances to check it out. I just bumped up the background music a little too much for the podcast listeners. I'm going to go over some ROH results. We're going to take a look at the Raw preview. There's not a whole lot in terms of news and rumors. We got an update for 2K16. What else are we even going to briefly talk about? Brandon is going to join us. He had a few matches this weekend with 3XW here in Des Moines. And if you saw on the internet for a minute, it blew up that Bernie Sanders was watching some Lucha Libre Pro Wrestling. That was the same event Brandon was performing at. The picture that went viral for a minute of him putting a kid in a headlock, that's our friend Austin. Not really my friend, but I've met him. It's Brandon's friend. So that was really cool that two of my favorite things, Bernie Sanders and pro wrestling, coming together for a minute. Thought that was neat. So we'll talk about that for a minute, and talk to Brandon about wrestling in front of people at the Latino Heritage Festival in Des Moines. And the rest of it's just stuff to chit-chat about, because there's nothing major that happened since the last time I produced a podcast for you guys. So with that in mind, Brandon, like I said, will be calling in here in a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and on the 26th, that would be Friday night? Saturday night. ROH put on a show that sounds to me like a TV taping. I don't know a whole lot about ROH, so maybe this is just how they do their house shows. But one of the matches is listed as a pre-match, which I think would mean like a dark match, which I think they would mean the rest are actually being recorded for TV. And the way the promos look sounds like. So anyway, I don't know when that's going to air, where it's going to air. I don't know anything. I don't follow ROH enough to know exactly what's going on. But real quick, let me play the spoiler alert sound clip. Alright, and so as I said, the show was on the 26th in front of a crowd of about 800 and what looked like a TV taping or something for ROH. The pre-show match, which I assume is a dark match, was just a couple of locals defeating another couple of locals in a tag team action. Then I guess the real show started with Veda Scott defeating Sumi Sakai, Kenny King and Rhett Titus defeating the House of Truth, Caprice Coleman defeated Pepper Parker via ref stoppage. I think there was a chain involved there, and a refusal to give up. Roderick Strong defeated Watanabe. Matt Jackson defeated Matt Tavern after an Adam Cole promo. Cheeseburger and Will Ferreira defeated Bob Evans and Gian Hughes. Daniels and Kazarian cut a promo about never losing the tag titles. Hansen defeated Daniels by disqualification after Kazarian interfered. Jay Lethal defeated Stevie Richards, and ACH defeated Moose.
Adam Cole and Michael Elgin in a fatal 4-way in what was noted as the best match of the night. So yeah, I think that must be a TV taping, or based on what they were saying about some of the promos and everything. If not, then whatever. I guess that just happened Saturday night, and now you know. So that is ROH, a company who is kind of up in the air as far as what's going to happen next. They have a couple of small TV deals, but without real serious TV deals, it's hard to remain relevant as a television product. Their contract runs out with Destination America, which wasn't even that great of a deal. I mean, I guess for anyone outside of WWE, it might not be a bad deal. They need to find something. They've got a few markets in America and France, as far as I know. It's not going to cut it. So hopefully they find. I really just hope they hook up with Hulu or Netflix or something like that and get a streaming service that a lot of people already have, that maybe people will accidentally get interested in ROH. There's a lot of wrestling fans on Hulu. That's where I watch. Sometimes I watch SmackDown there, or I watch Main Event. I watch Superstars. You can watch NXT. It's pretty good if you like wrestling. You might as well have Hulu Plus. You know, they have a few movies on there. No Holds Barred is on there, and WrestleManiacs, which I don't know what that is, but I'm gonna watch it eventually. I wouldn't be surprised if Nacho Libre is available too. So anyway, that's my unpaid plug for Hulu Plus for the day. We'll get to the news and rumors then. There's not a whole lot to talk about, honestly. I already talked a little bit about Bernie Sanders. We'll talk to Brandon about it again too when he gets on the phone with us. But basically, Bernie Sanders is doing what all politicians are doing, and going around to local events to get his name out there as a presidential candidate. Latino Heritage Festival was going on in Des Moines this weekend, and Bernie Sanders stopped by, and in the middle of that festival was a wrestling event being put on by 3X Wrestling, the premier local wrestling promotion of Des Moines, Iowa. And 3XW brought in some non-local talent to fill in the Lucha Libre gaps they have in their own roster. So Bernie Sanders stopped over to watch that for a minute. There's really only about like 10 seconds worth of footage, and if you find the YouTube video, it's the same footage looped about 3 or 4 times. So there's not a whole lot of video footage about it, but you can see him there, and there was a really good picture of him putting Austin, I don't know his wrestling name, unfortunately. Brandon will know that. Putting him in a headlock, and the photo kind of went crazy, especially on places like Reddit. So, anyway, I'm going to pause for 1 second, podcast. I apologize. Hold on. Anyone out there a Bernie Sanders supporter? Because he's got my vote so far. After that awkward ending of the Bernie Sanders conversation, we're going to take a look at the latest release from 2K related to WWE 2K16, which comes out October 27th. All 120 wrestlers have already been revealed, so they're letting out trailers to show new features and new whatever going on in the game. So they just released a trailer that highlighted the My Career mode and how it's been improved since the year before. I am actually getting ready to publish an article at Inquisitor about it, but basically the highlights of it are that you have a whole lot more control over what your character does and how his character develops. And it's a much longer career because the end goal is to make it into the Hall of Fame. And some of the checklists of accomplishments that would be on your Hall of Fame resume, one of them has an undefeated record at WrestleMania, but that you must have at least 12 matches for it to count. So that means your career mode is going to be at least 12 years if you're going to check off all of the all the accomplishments on the Hall of Fame checklist, especially if you're starting down in NXT. That means you gotta make it to WrestleMania on the first year. So there's that. There's a whole lot of other changes as well too. There's a whole lot more of you. For example, when you do a run-in the middle of a match, now you're able to choose. Do you want to run in during their entrance, or do you want to run in midway through the match? Which wrestler do you want to attack in the match, or are you going to go out there and help them by distracting the ref? Or are you going to go out and attack one of the wrestlers straight up? And you can even choose where you come from. Do you want to come from the stage? Do you want to come from the audience? So you get to really customize your interferences, and those actually do set up feuds. A lot of times in older games, you could interfere in the middle of a match, and the AI didn't really do anything about it after you did that. So now it sounds like that is going to happen. You'll have a lot more opportunities to choose teammates for the tag team division, where you'll have to take on. You'll be expected to take on all of the top established tag teams in WWE. So putting a little more emphasis on the tag team there. If you choose to go that route, they'll give you a whole lot of opportunities to show how you respond face or heel when you're being interviewed, especially with Renee Young in NXT. So all kinds of fun stuff to make. Again, listening to the fans and the gamers who said they wanted more freedom in the season mode. So this one's going to give you, probably as long as you want. If it's minimum 12 years, I would imagine you could play until I imagine there's no chronological end. I think it's maybe once you have enough to enter the Hall of Fame, then technically you've beat the game as that wrestler. So anyway, that's WWE 2K16. And unfortunately, for those of you who do not have a PS4 or an Xbox One, my career mode will not be available. That happened to me. I used to have only a PS3. I bought 2K15, and I was really bummed that I didn't have that career mode that everyone's talking about. Then I bought a PS4, not just for that, but that was part of the reason. I played the career mode, and I've maybe played that career mode a total of 3 hours. And I don't have the patience for it. So maybe with the new release, I'll give it another shot. That's most of the news about 2K16. Let's see. After that, the next maybe was a story about how dominant WWE is on YouTube. I know that's kind of a weird thing, but YouTube is a huge source of, even news and just entertainment, whatever, for a lot of people. The fact that WWE had more views in August of 2015 than any other channel. They had 456 million videos views on their channel in August of 2015. That's what's... Yeah, so whatever. WWE dominates more social media. They love to tout it, so I'm sure if they haven't already shown it on TV, that'll be one of the did you knows where Raw pats himself on the back at being great social media-ists or whatever. And whatever, I use a lot of their videos when I publish articles at HEELZiggler.com. And if I miss something, I know I can always find them on YouTube. That's where I get a lot of my sound clips for previews, especially like Total Divas. I steal a lot of previews for that since they have good ones built up on YouTube, and I usually use that on my show. So I am not surprised WWE has all those views. I'm sure I would assume most of the views at their website are also their YouTube videos. I don't know that for sure. I guess I haven't taken the time to figure that out. But, of course, WWE dominates YouTube. And before we move on to the news, because the news is not all that exciting this morning, I do believe Brandon is calling in. How you doing this morning? Not too bad, not too bad. I was, before he called in, just talking about how the idea of Bernie Sanders being at a wrestling event and that wrestling event being in Des Moines, Iowa, Like, those are three things I love that not a lot of maybe other people love. And so just to tell me that that would happen, I would be like, oh, that's like funny that you would say that because, of course, you're just messing with me. But then it happened, and it was, you know, for a few minutes, the hottest story on the internet. And your friend Austin had a really good picture that I assume has gone viral with Bernie Sanders putting him in a headlock. And that was an event that you were working. How did the event overall go for 3XW this weekend? Yeah, he does seem even like, he does seem like the coolest, not like the coolest as far, whatever, but just the most like, actually kind of like whatever of the people or whatever, you know, I don't want to sound cliche or whatever, but he does seem more just like the only one who would seem like really comfortable like doing that, you know what I mean? And like, I think the other ones would try to do it, but it would seem like really weird when most of them, you know, would try to do it. It would seem awkward. But with like Bernie Sanders, it just seems kind of course he would do that, you know? Yeah, man, I wish that Jon Stewart still had a show like right now, because that would be like, then that picture of Austin would probably be like on the Daily Show, and then like, you know what I mean, once he talks about it and once that's the one that Jon Stewart uses, then like tons of other stories are going to pick it up and use that picture, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, that'd have been cool, but maybe someone will, maybe it'll be somebody, maybe Jimmy Fallon or Seth Meyers or someone like that will pick up on it, and as long as one of those places has that photo, I feel like then it could go really, you know what I mean, start getting used in news stories. I've been trying to look for a chance to use it on Inquisitor, because I like write for them a little bit, but I like right now, it's the stage I'm in, I'm a kind of a newbie, so I have to choose from like whatever words are current, and then I can't copy anything that's been written in the last like day or so. And so I've been waiting for Bernie Sanders to come back up, because then even if that's like not why he's, you know, really huge again, I can at least write about it and whatever else is going on, but definitely mention, you know, what happened there and write about it and throw out, you know, some few words about 3XW while I'm there in Des Moines. Nice. Yeah, see, there he's gonna be pulling the pro wrestling demographic, which if WWE gets, you know, all like, you know, supporting the vote or whatever they used to do, you know, their version of Rock the Vote, if they do that again and Bernie Sanders can get those pictures and those like YouTube clips going, then that could be bad. I mean, bad for Vince, because Vince definitely is not a Bernie Sanders guy at all. So, but yeah, that could work. That could work against them, and especially with Jon Stewart being, yeah, man. Anyway, I'm overthinking this. I'm sure it's not going to be a huge impact at all. But anyway, and so, and you individually, how did your, oh, what's that? Yeah, and how did your matches go? How did you feel about your performances? Very good. Well, yeah, and I never really thought about, because I just think you as a fan, I'm like, oh man, being a heel would be awesome, and you just go and like, you know, just whatever to be cool. But then like, I was kind of like watching you, like kind of interacting with like the fans or whatever, you know, and then I think like, oh man, like, in like real life all the time, like I never want people to like hate me. I like do whatever I can to like never be the one who did anything wrong, you know? And so then I'm like, man, I bet like even like trying to make that character, I would just be like, oh man, I don't want to yell at people. I don't want them to like actually boo me. I mean, I think eventually I could get to it, but it would be, especially at first, I think it would be weird when you're like, oh, I had to like, yeah, like yell at these people, I guess, and be a dick. That's like kind of, yeah. I feel like the first time you have to try to do that, that was nice. Really and weird. I was late for your intro. Is your ring name just, is it Flawless Wallace? For sure. Cool. Let's see. And then, alright, well, let's go, we'll move on to the headlines. And the next thing we were going to talk about was SummerSlam was moved from LA to New York this year, and they have confirmed that in 2016 and 2017 they'll be returning to the Barclays Center for 3 nights in a row, and they have an NXT event, the SummerSlam event, and the following Raw. All 3 in the Barclays Center that will happen 2016 and 2017. I mean, I guess it's not any worse than being in LA as far as I'm concerned for us, but I wish they would move SummerSlam around. I don't like them sticking it in one city like that. How do you
Right, yeah,
think?
that's what I was about to say. Yeah, that's the only one that I think. I don't see, I mean, some of them, like in the Quad Cities, that's like almost Iowa, you know, it's pretty close. But usually it's across the border. But yeah, I guess I don't know if they'd ever even do pay-per-views there, so. But yeah, if they're only sticking to major markets, I mean, I'm sure it's great to do it in New York and LA just because so much media is there. But maybe if they're gonna do it more in the Midwest, maybe Chicago could be their next destination. That'd be cool. But I don't know if they'll, you know what I mean. Even Dallas is like an easy drive. You know what I mean, if you really wanted to, especially if you had a few friends with you. Yeah, that is actually a really good question. He's kind of like Chris Jericho, where he's kind of always just in and out and nothing really. Yeah, they don't really make a big deal when either of those two things happen because we see it so much. So, yeah, if anyone is interested, it's Kayfabe Commentaries, so at Kayfabe Comment on Twitter, and you can submit video questions through kayfabecommentaries.com, or I'm sure you can just tweet at them and whatever. They did some with Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, but I haven't checked them out to see if they're any good, so whatever, Kayfabe Commentaries, there you go. That's the kind of news day we have. And the next story, I guess, would you be interested in Kevin Nash or Scott Hall either? In those shoot interviews? They've happened. I don't know if they've released the full interviews. I think they may just have released trailers so far, and then the real stuff will come soon. But there's I mean, do you feel like there's anything they could say on a shoot interview that they haven't already admitted or said or whatever? Yeah, exactly. They haven't shied away from much, so I can't imagine that they'll come up with any new questions that really matter, or they're going to shed any new light on anything. But whatever. Good for Scott Hall to be able to do something since he's, you know. We'll move on. The next news story is that Lana just recently passed 1 million followers on Instagram, and I am looking and showing the Periscope people what some of those photos look like, and I can see why she has 1 million followers. So yeah. Do you get on Instagram very much, Brandon? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's a few pictures of her. This must be like her apartment or something where she's just taking pictures in front of a mirror, but there's a few outfits that she does not wear on television that I wouldn't mind her starting to do. But there's actually kind of a hot picture of her holding Rusev action figures, so she can make a lot of things look really good. So congratulations on breaking 1 million followers on Instagram. Yeah. So I think I was doing a story about Beyonce the other day, and I think she has like 43 million followers. So Lana's got a little way if she's gonna break any kind of records, but you know, Beyonce is kind of untouchable, so whatever. That is basically all the news stories. Again, not much happened over the weekend, so we don't have a whole lot. We'll go through the 5-point preview, which, as we've learned, is really just 5 questions they asked that let you know mostly what's going to be going on in Raw. Actually, I guess they didn't form them in questions, although they ended each segment. So we'll go through those real quick, and then we'll wrap things up for the day. Point 1 is dealing with
Kane and Seth Rollins. Obviously, they're still doing the kind of schizophrenic storyline, or at least where he's pretending that he doesn't remember doing anything. So the final question is, WWE's director of operations suffering from split personality disorder, or is his behavior part of a large plan that has yet to be revealed? How do you think this plays out, Brandon? Yeah, I can see this panning into him officially being up against the Authority, and then turning Kane the Demon face again, and whatever. But I'm glad the more people Seth Rollins can put on his resume as people he defeated for the title, I'm happy with that. And after last week's Page bomb, point 2, what's next for the Divas Revolution? How might the Queen of Hearts retaliate against the embittered Paige? So, looks like if not at the pay-per-view, at least on Raw, we're going to get Natalya versus Paige. How do you see that playing out? Do you think they're going to bring Natalya back in kind of full-time, or is this just kind of a stepping stone before Paige goes back for the title? Yeah, absolutely. Alright, point 3, titled Snake in the Swamp. This is a long sentence. Man, it is like a really terrible run-on sentence, but I'll read the whole thing. Even though the Big Dog and the Lunatic Fringe, aka the Shield, have a powerful new ally in the Viper, the Wyatt family is undeterred, and despite Harper's one-on-one defeat to Reigns on SmackDown, the family is as strong as it's ever been. I guess they did have a period there. Should WWE's Apex Predator fear what the Swamp Monsters, especially Braun Strowman, are planning next? Do you think Orton is going to be... You think he'll take on Strowman at the next pay-per-view and put him over? Yeah, and they've advertised Jericho versus Owens for the IC title at the pay-per-view, which also doesn't make any... I mean, I don't mind heel versus heel matches, but I feel like that was not... I feel like they're not really building towards that match at all, so I don't really know what that's going to be. The thing with Chris Jericho was weird, and yeah, if you're going to let people down as much... Yeah, that was the most recent... I don't know if that was according... I think that was maybe according to Madison Square Garden's website. But the most recent change to the lineup was that they changed that match. Because that match had already been booked, Owens versus Jericho. And then after Owens won the title, they changed it to a title match. Well, I think just the way they had him kind of like bump shoulders with Dean at the end of that match. And the fact that he tagged himself in. And they were kind of trying to play it up like he was trying to get all the glory for himself. And then was just kind of being a dick at the end. So I think they set it up so... there could be that whenever Jericho comes back, he can feud with Dean Ambrose or Roman Reigns. I think that's what they're doing if they're not planning on using him again right away. So, but yeah, I know Michael Cole was especially playing up like, oh look, he tagged himself in and cost him the match, and he wanted all the glory for himself. So that's the story they're trying to sell. Moving on, point 4: who will John Cena face for the U.S. title? Who will he challenge, I guess what it says. Now that Rollins has already used his guaranteed rematch for the title, will Raw bring the return of Cena's U.S. Open challenge? If so, who is bold enough to face the champ? So it seems like that's what they're going to do. Who do you think answers the call tonight for the U.S. title match? Yeah, have they definitely booked him a match for the NXT special yet? Well, actually, the tag team tournament, I think we have one match coming up this week. That's Enzo and Big Cass versus Samoa Joe and Finn Balor. But then after that, the semifinals and the finals are all taking place at the special. So unless Finn Balor and Samoa Joe, which is very possible since they're up against Enzo and Cass, who I think are one of the favorites to win, I could see them breaking up. Getting into each other tonight, and then them booking the title match for the special. Yeah, so it'll be them, and who will their opponents be then? Who's left? The Vaudeville? No, the Vaudevillains were already eliminated. Oh, it's those guys who eliminated the Vaudevillains, probably, right? Not the Briscoes, but the guys who runs those. Kind of remind. I don't know. They kind of remind me of the Andersons, but I don't really know if that's the team who's left. Either way, my guess is that if they're going to bring Finn Balor up, it'll be right after they announce his title match. That way they can promote it when he comes on Raw for the U.S. Challenge. Yeah, so I guess it is, Rhino and Baron Corbin versus Jordan Gable and Jason Jordan and Chad Gable. And then the winner of Wednesday's match would face, I don't know. I guess maybe the other team I was trying to think of earlier. But I couldn't remember their names. Maybe? I don't know. No, I think Blake and Murphy were eliminated. Alright, man, let me see. I'll see, because I don't want to accidentally read spoilers. But yeah, Enzo and Amore are up against Finn Balor and Samoa Joe to see the winner. So they'll be bracket A. Wesley Blake and Buddy Murphy, the Vaudevillains. Tucker Knight and Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder. That's who's left. They will be up against Jason Jordan. Or no. Gosh, okay, here it is. So Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder face the winner of Finn Balor and Samoa Joe. Jason Jordan and Chad Gable face off against Rhino and Baron Corbin. And then the winners of those two matches, yeah. So I could see Enzo and Colin winning, Balor and Samoa Joe getting in each other's face, and then them announcing the title match that night. And then so then you have the women's title match, the Finn Balor title match, the 3 tag team tournament matches, and then I'm sure you throw in Tyler Breeze versus yeah. So yeah, it should be pretty good. All right, and yeah, that's true. They could save it for sure. It'll be interesting. And the 5th and final point on Raw's WWE.com preview, brutality before the beast. So what message will the Giant, aka The Big Show, deliver on Raw less than 1 week before Big Show's anticipated collision with the Beast incarnate? He's been basically getting, I guess that was the reason Cesaro had a job to him, is because they want to build Big Show a little bit before the Madison Square Garden show. I mean, I don't know, I mean, do you really care about, I mean, obviously the Big Show is going to lose that match no matter what. Do you care that whether or not they push him between now and Madison Square Garden? Yeah, I'm way over the Big Show. I was really annoyed that Cesaro had to job out to him, but maybe this is part of his big last run or something. Oh man, I'm watching Hell in the Cell pay-per-view in the background from 2011, and it's Sin Cara versus Sin Cara. It just came on, which is funny to me. Whatever. Yeah, well that's it for all of that. And I know we already talked about 3XW and your first few matches there. For anyone who listens to this, how can they follow you and how can they follow 3XW? Ooh, Flawless B. Wallace. I kind of like that. That B in the middle. I like that. Flawless B. Wallace. Alright, sorry, go ahead. Well, hey, I mean, I know I'm just one person, but I would consider Flawless B. Wallace, because I feel like that B in the middle, Flawless Lawless, kind of, you feel like you're saying, you know what I mean? That B in the middle, just a thought, that little extra beat in between Flawless Lawless, Flawless B. Wallace. Then people can always, who don't know you, see, maybe Facebook just granted you one, you know? Like, kind of like, and it could be like CM Punk, where everyone always tries to guess what the B stands for, and especially if you don't know, if they don't know you personally, B could stand for a lot of things, you know? With that, and if that happens and you become famous, Flawless B. Wallace, we got it documented that the idea came here on Marking Out in the Morning, September 28th, 11:21 a.m. All right. Cool. So yeah, check out Brandon on Twitter and Facebook, as well as 3XW, and of course Marking Out in the Morning. And also before we close out, I was going to tell you, since Fridays here are always like so slow, I think I might try to make Friday like the whole emphasis of the show really about indie wrestling. And so I know that Friday mornings are like the worst for you, but if you're available like Thursday morning, or even if not for the show in the morning, we can just do one over the phone real quick, or one like this. And that way you can kind of give us an updates and reminders on 3XW specifically. Then I might see if I can get little interviews and updates every week with the IPW champion and the 3XW champion, because they're both kind of all over the place too, outside just those things. So just have weekly little things, and that way keep Friday all about the indie circuit. Just some idea. So yeah. Yeah, I had him once. It was I don't know when it was. It was probably the second. I'm gonna guess like the second week of us doing the show. So yeah, we had him on for a little bit, and then yeah, and then the other guy who's the IPW champion, he's from here in Des Moines, or maybe Ames, but he's on the show a little bit too. So yeah, perfect. All right, well, I'm going to play out the closing track here, and we will talk to you again soon. Brandon, thanks for joining us for Marking Out in the Morning. Later, Periscope. It's been real, YouTube. It's been real.